Well, hello, welcome back to the channel. Welcome to a heavy ground rock session. We are out and about in the wild as usual, searching for just a little bit of a, I'm going to call this a bit of a smash and grab session, because I've got a busy day at work tomorrow. It's quite early for me anyway, in terms of when I can get out after work. It's only about 5:30, and I don't usually finish work till 5:30, so don't tell anyone I've got a little bit of a flyer. So I've been a little bit naughty, but sometimes you just have to do these things for fishing, don't you? So we're out here. We're going to be fishing probably only half an hour down to low water, and then fishing a wee bit of the flood. It's probably only going to be two and a half hour session. I'm just going to have half a dozen casts and see if I can't snag myself a fish. One fish, it's all I ask. Nothing more, nothing less. So I'm not being greedy, that's all we're after tonight. The sea, we are, let's see, 2 days of the day. Wednesday. Storm Dara was blowing on Saturday and Sunday, so we're about 3 days after Storm Dara. Still a little bit of sea on. I mean a little bit, it's only a couple of foot, but the swell is back right off. There's not a breath of wind. Lovely still crisp night, so I'm hoping that I can just pick something out the kelp that isn't already absolutely stuffed with food. Of course, all the fish can't. Generally, you get a big sea for a run. The longer it runs, it can get a little bit harder to catch the fish, because they've been out stuffing themselves with food, and as they get fuller, they mightn't be as willing to feed, but all the fish can't feed all of the time at the same time, if you know what I mean. So point being, I'm hoping that if there's anything there, it's not going to turn its nose up at what is hopefully a nice attractive half wing and 3-inch coral stick. I'm just binding this on. And you get that clip down, send it out there. Probably just going to go about middle range to start with, just to see if there's anything there, and then just vary me casts in terms of distance and direction until hopefully we find something. So if you watch the channel regularly, well, firstly, if you watch the channel regularly, thank you very much, appreciate that. But you'll know I'm using a 5/0 ring chinook and a 6/0 fine wire mustard demon circle as my top pennel. So that just nicks through that bandage of that coral ring. It's probably only about 5 or 6 degrees tonight, so the baits are staying pretty good condition. What have I done there? Come on, man, get yourself through. There you go. 60-pound rig body, 195-pound power swivel, Trident aero pulley, absolutely fantastic. Made in England, made in the northeast. Support local business, and they're a cracking bit of kit. Love them. Splashdown, rotten bottom, 40-pound, and a 6-ounce gripper. So that'll hang on that. Hooks will clip up into the splashdown, and we'll get it out there. Said before, it's a really nice night. It's probably about, I said it was 5 degrees before, but it feels, you know, it probably feels more like 3 or 4 now. The temperature's definitely dropped, which is quite nice, to be fair. I do quite like fishing when it's like this, but when there's no wind, obviously, it's 3 or 4 degrees. When there's a bit of wind, very quickly drops to below 0. It's a nice night to be out. Tide, we've got about, what size tide have we got? It's probably, we're on the sort of medium cycle of the tides at the minute. What we got? 1.74, so actually probably on the smaller side of medium, I would say. I'd call this just about a small tide, which means there's not going to be a lot of push, but it's already low water now, so it is going to start turning soon. But with it being quite small, it just means I'm going to have a bit more time rather than getting cut off too soon. So first cast been in maybe 25 minutes. I put it at a reasonable distance, but there's a little hole in front of us to me right. I feel like I might just plop it 40-50 yards, just overhead lob it into there and see if there's anything there, just right into the heavy stuff. So the gear tonight is the usual 13'10". I think it is 125 to 200 grams, so roughly, what's that, 4 to 7 ounces. Very, very powerful rod, carbon all the way through, perfect for this type of work. It's a bit of an old battle horse now, the Comp SS, but it stood the test of time, definitely does the trick. I have been thinking about getting something different, not because I need it, just because I like buying gear, as I'm sure most people do. Oh, that's a knock. Had a few touches there and then a bit of slack line. Something having a little look. Could be a rockling, a slug, or a silver stinker. A bit of slack. Just leave that a second. But yeah, I was half thinking about getting something new. I've got a pair of T800s which I absolutely love, and to be honest, which I think are a lot deceptively powerful for what they are. I think Century probably classed them as a light to mixed ground rod. But if you didn't have another rod with you and you happen to have to fish some rough ground, they would cope. So the rod I'm possibly thinking about getting is either a Tip Tornado Sport, which as you know Gary uses, the Graph X. It'll be a lot lighter than this, thinner diameter. It's an inch longer as well, 13'11". It's definitely something having a little look at this. Or even a Tip Tornado Super Match, which is 4 to 7 ounce, and Century on the description say up to light heavy. So if it's more powerful than the T800, which I'm sure it will be, then I think it's probably capable of fishing rough ground, to be honest. If anyone watching this does have a Super Match, I'd love to find out what you think of them if you do fish heavy ground. A lot of lads use the T900, 14'4". I'm sure they're a great rod. 14 or something just under is pretty much my limit. Yeah, there's something having a look at this. So yeah, do I need a new rod? No, not at all. I just every now and then like to splash a few quid on gear, as we all do. It's part of the hobby, isn't it? Anyway, I'm going to give this, something's having a little nibble out there. I'm not sure if you can pick the rod up from the camera, but the bait will be more or less washed out shortly, so we'll get it in. Right, second cast in. About 25 minutes into the flood now. Waves are starting to push up a little bit, but we're all right. I've chucked that one a totally different direction, which is right towards where I want it to be. I've probably put it a little bit further than what I'd planned on actually, but we'll see how it goes. The next one I'm going to chuck in the same direction and definitely put it a bit shorter, just in case there's anything milling about close in this hole. Just telling you about the rod, which is a Comp SS. Real, usual Shimano Saragossa, 10,000 SWPG. That's loaded with 80 pounds whiplash, 120 pounds 4-strand thick rubbing leader tied with a 12-turn uni knot. And to be honest, these days using heavy braid with hooks that have got a little bit of give in them, I tend, to be honest, rarely, especially when you're using a rotten bottom, either your sinker pops or your hook bends. I mean, I know what's going to happen now, I'm saying this, but I rarely tend to lose full sets of rigs, which is why it can be a bit more kind of experimental with splashdowns, rotters, aero pulleys and loads of different components, because 90% of the time, probably more than that, you're getting the end and tackling the rig back. It's either the hook that, oh, that's not hook that'll bend, or your sinker that'll come off. Yeah, rattle felt like a Coley or something. That a little flurry of sharp pull down. It's either a decent sized Rockland or a little Coley. Definitely doesn't feel like a codlin. It's either nibbled away and swam off, or it's lying on. But I'll give it another couple of minutes. It's the last thing I want. Coley or a Rockland coming along and just nabbing bait that's not been in that long, especially when I'm on a little bit of a sort of time limited basis here. Nah, it's disappeared, whatever it was. So it was a big old bait as well, so if it was just a small fish, then there should still be bait out there, but we'll give it another 5 minutes or something. Temperature's dropping quite a lot now, like probably not as quite as well wrapped up as what I should be. I've only got a jumper and a t-shirt on under this coat. It is warm, but it's not like really thick. Right, people, that's what the culprit was. A little Rockland. Whoops. He's just nicked in the jaw, inside of the mouth, in that circle. Sorry. Shine me light in your face. So you should go back alright. There he is. So it was giving us the problem. Just stuck another one in there, just quite short again. I don't know why, there's just a hole at me right that I quite fancy, so a few more casts. You can probably hear the tide is starting to push in. A little bit of rock I've waded on is going to be cut off soon, so I am quite time limited here, but at least the blank's off. Problem I've got is that I did bring a box of squid with us, but it's absolutely frozen solid, and because the air temperature's so cool, I've just not got any chance of getting it defrosted. You know what squid's like, it's like the whole box is just solid, so it's not like you can hack a bit off, stick it in a rock pool. But never mind, this will be alright. Just pile plenty of elastic on it. I did had a little bit of a squid, made a little bit of a squid faux pas, to be honest, because I had the car packed the other day. I packed the car including a box of squid that I thought, right, I'll get that in there, just not in the cool box, just let it defrost. Anyway, I packed the car this particular day, didn't manage to get out fishing. Thought, oh well, I'll just leave my gear in the car, because then it's in the car, it's ready to go. So I left the gear in the car for several days. Then last night, when I knew I was coming out tonight, I thought, you know what, this is the only chance I've got to buy a Christmas tree. So I thought, right, I'll unpack the car, go and get a Christmas tree, and then I can whack my gear back in the car. Did that, got the Christmas tree. So then tonight I thought, oh, I need to get that squid out. And of course, realised that I left the box of squid in the bucket at room temperature about 4 or 5 days ago. and I'll leave it to your imagination to just picture what the scene and the smell was like. It was not pleasant, I can tell you that. So it's a mistake I do not wish to repeat anytime soon. So yeah, little Christmas story about a squid accident. Very festive, eh? Right, that is the last cast out there. Quick shout out to Peter McFarlane. Sorted us out with, I think what he calls a lid stay, which is very simple. Bit of metal, screws in, stainless steel, nut and bolt, pop that over, bang. I did have one of the Dameltech, quickly just turn that so you can see it. One of the Dameltech like sort of hydraulic ones, but after a while salt water gets in and it basically doesn't work anymore. Peter also, I did a shout out on a vid, I think it was a bog hole a couple of years ago. Tackle trays, sort as these, sort as the ones on the inside of the box. Absolutely great. Hooks, elastic, line, rig wallet, more braid, Mars bars, whatever. Really handy. When I went to Peter's in there, he sorted us out. His box was on a different level in terms of how well everything had been thought out, but yeah, nice one Peter, appreciate that. So last cast is in and the tide is pushing in very hard now, so this is going to get about 10 or 15 minutes soak and then that'll be us. So we'll see if we can pull a codling out, but admittedly it ain't looking likely. Well people, that's the end of that one. Quick midweek session, no fish, but nice evening to get out. So hopefully you still enjoyed the video, hopefully being out and about. In the meantime, I've got to go to work. Next video as always will be 10 o'clock Saturday morning, so hope you're being out and about, getting a few till the next one. Tight lines, keep fishing, we'll see you soon.